So welcome, President Dean, Mary McCord, future explorers or next year's explorers in the back, welcome. And welcome to everyone to hopefully will be one of many of the Shaw Explorers year-end celebration and project presentations. Like I said, we have a great afternoon ahead of us. David, I vividly remember it was a Friday night in December, you were driving to New York, and we had this 2-hour conversation about this idea in your head that has now mushroomed into the Shaw Innovation Explorers. John, I know you're online at home, so I appreciate you joining, and I know your contributions to really helping mold this pretty quickly, like in a 3-month period, was amazing. I personally thank you both for your trust and confidence in our ability to launch the inaugural year. I think it far exceeded a lot of metrics for expectations. That said, it is a startup. It was a startup, still is a startup. And we learned a few things that we'll build on and improve on for next year. But that wasn't all. You both actually gave a lot of your personal time. Coming down here, David going to your house, coming to some of the events. That personal time meant a lot of engagement with the explorers to help them help share your experience, mentor them, provide insights that they wouldn't otherwise have. And to me, that actually added an amazing richness to this program, as opposed to just being a normal program that would be external without that support. So thank you. Also like to thank Christina and Gabby. They're not here today, of CG Events. They were critical in the research coordination, management of the third-party vendors, all the logistics behind the scenes from basically last August until today. So appreciate them. And finally to you, the amazing 10 explorers. I get choked up here. It was a great year. So much time together, so many laughs, good times, hard times, growth, learnings, a lot of inside jokes, which we'll hear at dinner tonight, I'm sure. But the list goes on, but thank you all. But I actually appreciate that each of you dedicated yourselves to the goals of what the explorers were. We didn't know exactly what it was. It was a little bit of a design build, but you guys have set the bar high, so I appreciate that. We're family, your family, and you will forever be a Shaw Innovation Explorer. So now it gives me great honor to introduce President Jim Dean, who has actually been an ardent champion of entrepreneurship initiatives at UNH. Under his leadership, he launched strategic initiatives that include priorities for student success, high impact learning, if that sounds familiar. That's in the DNA of the eCenter and Shaw Innovation Explorers. So Jim, thank you.
Thanks so much, Ian. Welcome, everyone. I'm just going to take a moment and just drink this in. It's just great to be here. People always say this. It really is. It's great to be here. Great to see you. Great to see what you've accomplished together. Great to see the potential that we have in next year's scholars. So good afternoon, students, guests. Welcome to today's gathering of the Shaw Innovation Explorers. Of course, a special welcome to David and John. I understand John's online. Hello out there, John. The force behind this incredible program. Your belief in the power of exploration and the value of high-impact learning experiences, just what Ian just said, has led to an extraordinary partnership with Ian and the eCenter in launching this program, and we are incredibly grateful to you both. From the Shaw Explorer Shoe Golf Tournament, which I frankly had to see to believe, and that was pretty fun. Yeah, it worked. To the Brian Scary event with the whales, and now to today's showcase. I've so enjoyed seeing this program come together, and I've witnessed firsthand the camaraderie and the relationships that have been built in the process, as Ian mentioned. I've heard so much about the learning experiences of the Shaw Explorers, and I'm glad to be able to see you all in person and to see some of your final presentations and learn about your experience over the first year, and even to learn what that object is that's right there in front. I'm not even going to speculate, but I see it as musical notation. It looks a little bit like an alligator and kind of like a Christmas decoration all at the same time. So it's got to be great stuff if it has all that. So recently, on a more serious note, I had the privilege of reading students' reactions to an experience that you've had as Shaw Innovation Explorers. And there was one reaction in particular that captured what this program is all about. And I'm just going to read what the student shared. Quote, Because this was such an unforgettable experience, I'll carry the lessons with me for the rest of my life. I've broken out of my shell and realized I can do so much more than I initially believed. I can't wait to carry this momentum, confidence, and exuberance into projects I am currently working on in my pursuits in the future." Close quote. So now I'm going to get choked up like Ian. And I know, David is going to have a chance to speak, and Ian probably a little bit more. But I know I'm speaking for all of us who are in leadership roles and who are in any way responsible for this program. That's what we live for, right? That is what moves us. Whatever level of success that we have had up to this point in our career, it's not going to be that different 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years from now than it is now. But for you, anything is possible. And I am quite sure, I'm speaking for all of us if I say, we take so much pride in your success and seeing you develop and seeing you fulfill your potential that it's hard to even put into words, but I hope you're sort of getting the feeling from my emotion just about talking to you about this. It's just so wonderful that we have people like David and John who can support programs like this to make this possible. And I'm just going to ask for a round of applause from everybody right now. So congratulations to this year's students who have completed the program. I look forward to seeing what you've learned through your exploration. And also congratulations, I guess you're the guy sitting in the back, right? Okay. To the newly selected group of Shaw. I guess that makes you pre-explorers or proto-explorers, or you probably already come up with something more clever than that, I would guess, who will begin their explorations in the fall. Your participation will immerse you in experiences that expand possibilities and broaden your vision of what is possible. So to all of you, my gratitude and admiration for embarking on this important journey of exploration and discovery. I'm going to sit back and watch what you've come up with. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Shaw, and I want to be Brian Scary when I grow up. Anyone else?
I want David Shaw to adopt me.
Laughter happens, by the way, is most likely with people that you're familiar with and you know. So as you get to know each other more, you'll laugh more. Because laughing is about winning, and you win as a group.
We are going to challenge you all to a sport that our family invented because our father worked in a shoe factory in New Hampshire, and it's called shoe golf. So rules. You all know the rules, or you've invented your own rules. So you pick targets. You see how many shots it takes you to get to the target. I think a lot of it is straightforward. The person furthest away goes next. There's no mulligans.
I love the weekend that we had up there. Whitewater rafting was great, especially with everyone. I felt like I knew everyone a lot more after that weekend, which was really nice because, we're a small cohort, so having that weekend to start the program off was really good. And then also the dinner was really great as well. I enjoyed the chopped competition and speaking to David about just everything from ESG impact investing to how to get board of directors for your company. It's just the varying topics was really interesting.
I feel like there's just been so much. I don't know, in a month I don't usually do this many things. There's been so many things that I feel like I've already learned so much from all of them. Met so many people, made so many connections. And I feel like everybody, we all know each other so well now.
What makes you special, what makes you needed is your difference. If each and every one of us could just keep our different individual thoughts and input and whatever, and then support that, then the world would open up.
So much about improv is about listening and agreement and sort of agreeing to play together. Have you all heard this principle of yes and? Yes and is, yes, I agree to the world you are trying to build, and I'm going to add to that.
When I got to meet with this year's, explorers and innovators, it gave me great inspiration. I think it's easy to get down and depressed these days, but when you see young people with passion and ideas, it's a great inspiration. I'm hopeful about the future just seeing what I saw tonight.
The Shaw family, and I'll speak for myself as well, is we're very happy to support a program that we think will add to the special education experience here at UNH. And beyond academic excellence, we want to emphasize adventurousness, innovation, exploration, curiosity, risk-taking, adventurousness, and in a Shaw favorite, disruptiveness.
This is not a business exercise. That's why we have artists coming in. That's why we're doing non-business related stuff.
We really want today to kind of be about giving you all an opportunity to just sort of tap into the creative sides of your brains, kind of kill your internal editor a little bit. We might do some improv exercises.
When I was your age, I was two things, and I was good at it. I was foolish, and I was fearless. The beginner's mind, which you all have, is really powerful. It's really important. We're experts. We've been doing this for years, and that's a trap.
I really liked 3DS. I never would have done that if I wasn't part of the Shaw Explorers, and because of 3DS, my little baby of an idea, it actually has some ground now. It's grown roots, I feel like, and that's really cool because I feel a lot more confident.
He makes large-scale stuff. His name is Jesse Salisbury, and he's from way down East Maine. And this came from a famous granite quarry down there. So I have pictures of the raw block of stone before he started working on it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And you can kind of see that he uses these. He learned how to sculpt in Japan, and he learned this old-fashioned way of cutting the stone. Although it looks like he did a little bit of new tech stuff too. That's pretty smooth. So that's sawn. But this they put wet wood wedges in there, and then it freezes and it splits it.
Open?
Yeah. So it's old time Japanese. Stone carving.
You guys can wander around and see that, but obviously the general theme is what, a material, what can it become?
Yeah.
And how does it change from what it is?
What is music? Music starts off with a series of vibrations that pulse through the air and change the pressure, and our ears pick it up and translate it into this incredible thing. You can generate a note from an instrument that's vibrating the air, and that can do more for someone's emotions than almost any other medium.
Our brains work by predicting a lot. And so you take everything that all your sensory experiences and everything you've learned, and then you're faced with a new situation, and your brain is trying to predict outcomes. And if this is particularly important, or at least I paid attention to it as it relates to fear.
Well, I've never been whitewater rafting, so I'm a little nervous. It's going to be a treacherous journey.
We'll see how it goes. Possibly drowning, maybe.
If you've had an experience that predicts that everything's going to be okay, but when you're in a situation that might cause other people to be fearful, then you're good.
I had a blast. Like, I loved it.
One of the best days, I think, ever. It was life-changing, and I could probably do crazier. You know, level 5 rapids come at me.
Your brain, someday later, sometime in your life, your brain calls on that experiential learning in a way that's different than book learning, memorization, and that kind of thing. And that kind of background know-how can be incredibly valuable. I've always tried to blur the distinction between work and play in the companies that I'm in. But I don't think of it as work. I think of it as the great game.
It's quite amazing how people who aren't used to being creative or don't think of themselves as creative, when you get put in a position and say play, and here's some things to play with, it's just astonishing how creative people are. If you give people that chance to play, amazing things happen.
I'm a person that's benefited from having mentors, sometimes very informal mentors, and after a lifetime of school, of being judged by academic performance, I found that that's not necessarily a good judge of whether someone can create great value in the world. Being judged by conventional standards, it's something that you need to overcome. You can create value in the world through curiosity, through entrepreneurship, through critical thinking, and many other things that are far more important in your life than academic performance.
Great. So I'd like to invite David, if you would like to say a few words, and John, if you can unmute, come on board as well.
Yes, that was a momentous, I don't think I need that. There was a momentous telephone call we had, Ian, and look at what's become of that. So congratulations, everybody. Working with you, Ian, has been fantastic in getting this started. So it had that spirit of a startup, where at first it seemed like too audacious of an idea. And too hard to put in place, and yet we did it. I want to talk about shoe golf for a minute. So shoe golf it's a game, and it's part of a sense of wanting to stay playful for your whole life. And so I'll give you an example of that. I just started, I'm helping to build a media company in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And so I had just finished a week with these people building that company, and I was headed to Monaco next to meet with Prince Albert and the Monaco Oceans Week. And as I drove to the airport with the assistant to the president of this media company, I saw the IDEX sign. And I had established this IDEX headquarters for Europe near Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. And I said, let's just pull in and I'll walk in. Now, it's been 20 years since I was at IDEX. So I walked in to the reception area, and I said, so what do you do here? And they, remember I started and I ran this company for 20 years, but I've been out for 20 years. And he said, well, I think we're involved in pharmaceuticals and not sure what, but a woman had walked in behind us, and she turned out to be an executive there, and she said, can I help you, sir? And I had, in advance, I had screenshot a picture of myself in front of the IDEX headquarters that had my name and it said founder. And so I did this, and she said, come with me,
come with me right away. So I don't know any of these people. Most of the people I know are long gone. And she said, I want you to meet some of the executives. And I said, before we do that, can we just go down into the warehouse? And we walked into the warehouse, and someone yelled across the warehouse. Remember, it's been 20 years. Someone yelled across the warehouse, "Game on!" And it brought over, and a guy who I don't remember his name said, "Let's go, because it's been 20 years since I had a chance to play you playing shoe golf." So we played a couple holes, and then he said, "You must," and he's telling everybody who I am, and he said, "You must come up to my office because you remember what the trophy you got from me." So we went up to his office in islands of cubicles, and he goes to his cubicle and he takes out a big trophy, big trophy that I gave him when he won a shoe golf game over there, his most prized possession. Then he calls everybody out of their offices and everybody and say, "This is the guy I've been telling you about, and look at this. We played shoe golf together, and I beat him, and he gave me this big trophy that's been on his desk for 20 years." Why do I say all that? Is think about that connection. We started this meeting talking about really valuable connections, but I think it's really important to have kind of a tribal sense of connection with people you're working with, and it feeds the kind of things we've been talking about here. It feeds teamwork. It feeds a sense of trust between people that you're working with, and it feeds the sense of expansive opportunity. So I hope that a really important result of this experience has been a little voice that you'll have in your head forever. No matter what you're doing, there will be a little voice that says, "This, think expansively about this opportunity." If you're confronted with a conventional wisdom, a little voice that says, "Let's challenge that convention. Let's come up with a better truth than conventional wisdom." Let's ask ourselves all the time, and no matter what we're doing, what does great look like for this opportunity? And I hope that those kinds of messages and that little voice is embedded in all of us at this point. So I'll just echo what Jim Dean said. I'm really grateful for this opportunity, inspired to see all of you explorers and get to know you and watch how things changed over the time that we've worked together. So thank you for letting me be part of that, and I can't wait to see what we've got here in terms of reports on projects. Thank you all.
John, if you're on and want to say any words.
We're muted. No, we're not. Oh, it's the Zoom room.
We'll have time at the end, and then we obviously have just the Explorers Roundtable, so you can jump in as well. So I'm actually going to stand up for this part. So as a lot of you know, we spent the fall with a variety of different external programs, internal programs, really building fundamental tools, and a lot of that actually was the 3DS, the 3-day startup workshop that actually helped launch actually a fair amount of ideas that actually went on. There's actually a lot of success I'm not going to go into now that resulted. Actually, I will. I think 3 teams went on to SVIC, won SVIC. Daisy was on the team that just won eFest, first place in the nation last week in Minnesota. Leadership Entrepreneurship Club. Allison was runner-up for the I2 Passport, having never been here a year ago. A lot of amazing opportunities and blossoms have happened. But this project, this is an accumulation of what the year has been. So each explorer basically picked something that was passionate to them, something that they were inspired from the Shaw Explorers, and they're going to present. And you're going to see this is a wide range. It's really cool and creative. And so with that, we're going to start with Caden to help solve the curiosity of the fish head up front. So Caden, your show. Yes.
right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Caden Bedell. I'm a mechanical engineering major here at UNH. So here we go. My inspiration for this project was actually largely created through my first semester experiences in this program, and also going to David's house as our first event and seeing all of the artwork that was made out of recycled materials and waste materials. So this really got me thinking about the waste that I create on a daily basis and how maybe I can reuse this in a creative way. So I had seen a couple of software engineers online using capacitive touch sensors, which basically senses electron change in the air through touch. So that way when a human touches it, it can send a message to a computer telling it what to do. Yes. So I decided to reimagine how programming and art can be combined. As an engineer, art has always been a passion of mine, but I've also kind of felt stifled through just the careers that engineering provides. So I really wanted to find a creative outlet as well. All right, so hardware and materials that I used to make this. I kind of just call it a fish head, but it also just kind of looks like a creature thing in general. I kind of wanted to make it ambiguous, kind of up to interpretation almost. So all the paper that you see there on the outside was kind of scraps that I had lying around, old art projects that I was just going to throw away, magazines that were lying around my room, and even some old engineering books from Kingsbury that I found that were being given out for free, or otherwise they're going to be thrown away. So I used a Raspberry Pi as my interface for storing and running the files that makes the sculpture work. I also used copper foil tape to send messages to the capacitive touch sensor. And then the hardest part of this whole project was using Python. So as a mechanical engineer, I don't do that much coding, and I had never taken a Python class before. But a lot of jobs out there, it is a really good skill to have. So I kind of spent this semester teaching myself through online forums and YouTube videos, specifically for this project. And also that picture right there, it's a guitar pick maker, and that's what I used to punch out all of the scales. So that was really fun. All right, so just impact of the Explorers and this project. Especially starting off this semester by going to South by Southwest, I learned a lot about unconventionality and how to unconventionally learn, grow, do, and think. And this was definitely a huge influence on just this project and also my perspective on life going forward and how unconventionality can be a huge asset to making yourself unique. I also gained a lot of self-confidence through this as initially I had feared that I'd bit off a little more than I could chew through just the hours of creating the sculpture first, and then also teaching myself a new programming language and just troubleshooting all of that. But I was able to do it on time, and it was just a huge confidence boost because I proved to myself that I can learn things outside of the classroom effectively and apply them in real life. So just after all these experiences and this project, I feel like I have opened myself to a whole new world of possibility. Yes. So in continuation, as I move on from this year and this program, it's already making sounds. All right, so part of that is how I use the capacitive touch sensor. I have a different wave file programmed to play every time a different part of the copper on the fish is touched. So I kind of want to expand the idea of what art can be, and not just to look at, but also to touch and interact with. And also rethinking how music can be made and instruments and what instruments are. I also feel like I have learned through this program that complacency is not an option for me. I feel like prior to this program, my main goal was after graduation, I was just kind of like, I'll get a job and I'll do good at my job and that'll be good for me. But I feel like after this, I've learned that and gained the skills to maybe even make my own business and truly make my ideas a reality, which is really unique, and I don't think I would have gotten just through classes. It also renewed my attention to my core values and how I want to make change throughout the world, and and that it is possible after seeing all of the innovators and speakers that were brought to us through the Shaw Brothers, and how they have had very unconventional paths and able to do what they're passionate about. I also learned that it is important to have a diversity of skills, interests, and efforts. Just through seeing David and even like Brian Scary and all the other speakers, they definitely had very diverse skill sets and interests, whether it's environment and business and art and all these things. And I feel like it is just the best lifestyle overall to kind of combine all of those interests, and that it is possible. And this is just a final quote. There was a picture there, I don't know where it went. But artist Theo Jansen, he's the one that's responsible, or not responsible, he's the one, you might have seen him before. He makes these big sculptures that move through the wind, and they're all like very intricately engineered. And they have like all these different little parts. And he said the walls between art and engineering exist only in our minds. And that's just a really important quote to me. So thank you for your time, and I'm gonna do a little demo of the sculpture. All right. So right now I think I have 6. Yes, I have 6 different places you can touch it. The first one. Little sounds and such. This eyeball, is it gonna go? Yeah. And that one, and they can overlap too. So these are just very basically like samples of sounds, but going on, I could maybe like make my own files and just have notes and like use it as an instrument kind of. So any questions? I think it's a question.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions at the end of each presentation.
If you want to touch it, you can. Yeah, you can. It's meant to be touched.
And is this the beginning of an expansive practice of this kind of art for you?
Yeah, I think it is. I would consider this kind of a prototype. I want to see how I can, right now you can kind of see all the circuitry on the outside, but I want to move on and kind of see how I could make it more like hidden, and then people would have to kind of figure out where to touch it and have it make sounds, which I think would be cool. I think just also as like I think it would just be a good addition to like a community art program since it is interactive, especially with like kids and stuff. They want to touch everything, and being able to say like, oh, you can touch the art. I think that's a really important and different take on it. Yeah.
Has this been like done besides like the machinery part of it, but like the art aspect? Has this been done before, or like similarly?
I did find one software engineer who she normally does like light shows with programming through Python, but she made a capacitive touch painting with you can actually buy capacitive paint that transmits electrons. It just has like some like ground up metal in it that allows that to happen. Yeah, so that was the only other example I could find. But I really like sculpture more than painting, and I thought just for this end of the year project, it would be cool to do a sculpture instead. So that's why I chose that. Yeah.
So this becomes really the first one to do it.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't found anything else.
I've seen a genre of art like this that's activated by movement too. So if this was on the wall and people were walking by, you could add that dimension.
Yeah, I have seen some of those too, where it like either like tracks parts of the face or like lights up different colors when you. Yeah, I really like those ones too.
Great. Kaden, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Will be Derek. I know we're going to move the fish so we can use the table for other projects. So.
All right. So my name is Derek Bobbitt. I'm a finance and ISBA major here. I'm a sophomore, of course, as we all are. Really hard to follow Kaden after that. But it's really great to be part of the first cohort, and my project is the Shaw Explorer NFT collection. So the objectives of my project, I had 3 main goals. I wanted to educate my peers on NFTs. If you guys know me personally, I'm very crypto crazy, as most people would know. But my goal is to actually educate on what it means and is not just crazy bored apes around the thing, but what's actually the technology behind it and what it can actually be used for. What are the use cases? And if they're interested, how to actually get involved in this new wild west of an emerging technology and industry. In addition, I want to connect. This whole year has been all about connections, making new friends. I feel like you guys are pretty much my new close friend group. And I wanted something that would embody our year together. In addition, art, I want to use digital art as a medium. So I am not really a particularly artistic person. I can occasionally draw a stick figure, but I was thinking, something that can work out online. I was inspired more by CryptoPunks, if you know it, with pixelized artwork, which I'll get into in a little bit.
So what inspired me was the Web3 industry. Of course, I'm very involved in this myself. My startup is really focused in this industry, but I wanted to do a deeper dive on the actual technology and start actually building inside the industry. What does it mean to actually mint an NFT, which is something that I've actually been curious about for over a year now. In addition, digital ownership, this whole concept of being able to own something online, like a JPEG, a video, just owning something online and be able to verify that really fascinated me, and I wanted to know how that actually worked. So I made the NFT collection is a PFP, or a profile picture collection, for every single explorer, which I've just sent out to everyone. So once they have their wallet set up, which I'll get into in a minute, each of these are going to be ones they can own and hold and say as a collectible, something they can remember from their time in Shaw Explorers. In addition, I made one for David, John, and of course Ian, because they have been an amazing mentor to all of us, and we've gained a lot of insight from them as well. So David, I think you'd like yours. So each one has traits. So as you saw from the big board, they're all very varied. Each one has a different style, different items inside of them. So it really goes down to 5 main traits. You have your accessories, like my glasses, because of course, there's that. But also our favorite activity from the year, what's an extracurricular you're involved in, something that you like about UNH, that's a campus activity. In addition, your favorite memory from the Shaw Explorers program. For me, it was whitewater rafting, so you have that in the background. In addition, your official Shaw Explorers outfit. I always have my Shaw Explorer hoodie or something else at the time, so I chose that. In addition, your favorite sci-fi theme. I know Sydney chose horror, there was a few fantasies, and even underwater for Tim, so it was fun. But yes, also, again, going back to that educational aspect, I made an entire booklet that basically goes into what's an NFT for beginners. You don't have to have any prior knowledge, and the goal is in 2 or 3 pages teach you the basics, what it can be used for. And at the very end, which I think Kate has already gone through, there's instructions on how to set up your first NFT wallet and get your first NFT. And I am proud to say that we have the first one sent to Kate's wallet as of now, so she now has her NFT and is officially minted on the blockchain. So what I learned. So through this project, I learned the actual technical aspects of what it takes to actually mint something on a blockchain and what it means to actually take something and actually add it. In addition, digital art. I taught myself how to actually work with pixels and voxelized art, which I was inspired again by the CryptoPunks original collection. Maybe. Oh, too much. There we go. Yes, so Shaw Explorer Impact. What I gained from this this program overall. Ours entrepreneurship. Originally when I started, I was very much Silicon Valley, tech startups, this is what entrepreneurship is. But as we learned from the New Hampshire Theater Project, when we went to had artists, we had musicians, all these new experiences, it's more than that. To be an entrepreneur is anything where you're creative and innovative, and I think that really helped expand, I would say, my personal definition of entrepreneurship. In addition, the desire to explore, to really say, I want to get out of my comfort zone and do improv. That was really strange for me. I'm like, okay, we can start singing, dancing, and doing a bunch of random things. But I think getting out of your comfort zone is something that's really important and something that I really gained from this program overall. So again, stepping out of my comfort zone, learned a little bit technicals along the way, learned to explore my creative side more than just tangible art, but also singing, theater, and music, and the occasional lap tapping that we had when we were trying to make a song, which I'm really sad they showed that. That was really bad. But we made it work. And again, to David, John, Ian, and all the explorers, the informational packet should be shared with you. I will be sending it to you guys very soon, and you guys can mint your NFT whenever you're ready. And thank you.
1 or 2 questions for Derek.
Yes.
Derek, why did you choose to mint on Solana?
Because I want to try something new. So also, I want to save money because I did spend money to actually mint them myself. So Solana has a lot less fees, actually really quick as well. And also, I like the wallet setup personally for Phantom, which is the wallet that had them set up. It's really user-friendly, and a big issue in the crypto industry and blockchain overall is UX. It's really hard for people to be like, I go onto it and I have to know seed phrase and all these random things. And I like how Phantom's wallet really breaks down that process to say, it's really easy, it's a simple password to actually log in versus just having your seed phrase. So I like the user experience, and I thought it'd be really easy to almost have that as an on-ramp into this new NFT world, if you would say that.
Can you briefly explain each of those NFTs and the significance of them?
Yeah, so each of them, Allison is the first one. And her favorite activity was soccer, or I would say intramural soccer, so she has her soccer ball there. And again, her favorite activity was whitewater rafting. There's me, I had the Ryan's Angel Investment Fund represented by our wing logo. and whitewater rafting. As you'll see, a lot of these, whitewater rafting was, I would say, the majority of our favorite activity. And again, this was before South by Southwest. That would have been my favorite if we had done this before, but I had done most of the art before then. Carly's was theater. Kate was, I would say, open skate, right? Yes, ice skating. And then if you see that little line with the blue, that's actually Shaw Explorers. So if their favorite activity with Shaw Explorers is on there as well. And I would say the other one, let's see, Tim's was going to the gym, and Sydney's was the little vial because she liked chemistry, and I thought it was really fun to integrate that into her horror theme. So that was one of my favorite ones to do. But yes, Tim.
What is the house or building with mine and then the one next to mine?
So that was, if I remember correctly off the top of it, it was actually spending the time at the cabin that night. So again, just to say where I got this information, each explorer took a survey, and they said what their favorite activity was, what their favorite activities from UNH were, their favorite Shaw Explorer memory, and using that information, that's what I used to build each of these NFTs and profile pictures. So.
Thank you, Derek.
Awesome.
Allison, you're next.
Why no?
So it will be noted that Allison, from day one, showed hustle and chutzpah. She actually was on the wait list. And probably emailed me every week during the summer to say, has anyone dropped out? Has anyone dropped out? And then actually, after we first met, after the first meeting, someone had a conflict with a majority of their schedule. And Allison came on board, and so hustle pays off.
We're thankful she did.
Yeah.
Guys, stop. So, my name is Allison. I am a sophomore wildlife and conservation biology here, major at UNH. And for this project, I chose to make a quilt, which I titled The Great Exploration. So a little bit of the inspiration behind this quilt. Right here is a picture I added. It was my initial first sketch. I just kind of pulled different ideas from my head, what I wanted to do for this. But I really wanted to focus on like a naturalistic seascape that focused on a bunch of different experiences that I've been through my whole life, and also really targeting this past year in the Explorers program. So there's a lot of symbolism that, really touches my heart, but I also really wanted to touch the heartstrings of David as well, because I know you were a big fan of the ocean. But I also pulled a lot of inspiration from Japanese art, more specifically the Great Wave, which is a really famous Japanese painting, one of my favorite paintings. And I, like I said, pulled from my own adventures and experiences. And then I also wanted to focus on sustainability, as this quilt is made 100% from repurposed materials. So a little bit about the process. I had my own mentor during making this quilt, which was my mom, which is really special. She is an avid quilter, so she helped me a lot in this process. It took me about 3 months to make, which equates to about 15 hours. The cost was $0 because, like I said, all of the materials I had already had. So like the water and the mountain is made from old denim from my dad's work jeans or some of my baby overalls. The red buttons are from my mom's button collection and some of my dad's old work shirts. And then the wool was my grandmother's, and it's locally sourced from a mill in my hometown. And the price of the quilt, I would say it's priceless, but if you were looking to buy it, it would be over $1,000 just because of all the work and love that was put into this. And this is a unique piece that you cannot buy anywhere else. So some difficulties going on with this quilt was just not being home all the time, so I could only work on it when I was home. All the materials and the machines were in my mom's sewing room, so I really had to be diligent when I was home working on it. And then working with the machines, a lot easier in hindsight, but when you're actually using the machines, there's a lot of difficulties, more technical difficulties that could go wrong. And just fussy fabric, picking the materials you want to use, the colors, and just lacking overall confidence in thinking I can do something like this. So the growth. What did I learn from this? I learned one of the biggest things was perfection does not equal value. You might look at this quilt and be like, wow, that's a beautiful quilt. And I will agree with you, but I can also pick out every little thing that is wrong with the quilt. But realizing and recognizing that this is something I put so much time and love and effort into is what really matters, and that's the value of the quilt. I think it's all about the process and not about necessarily the end value. And then practice is key to becoming a master, but even masters have the capacity to be mentors themselves and apprentices. So to kind of preface that a little bit, my mom, like I said, she was my mentor. She's like a master quilter to me. Like, she's top tier. But I learned that even she continues to go to quilting class. She continues to go on online forums looking how she can improve her techniques with her craft. And then entrepreneurship is everywhere, like Derek was touching on. It's in our food, it's in our clothes, it's in you, it's in me, it's in all of us, and it's in quilting. And then this is also a new skill I can use forever. You know, if I get a hole in my pants, I know how to fix it now. If I want to make another wall hanging, I know how to do that. So I think that's really special. And then this is actually on the back of the quilt. Just a purpose statement, why I made the quilt, some of the materials that are in it, some of the symbolism. But how did the explorers impact me to choose this quilt? Well, I really wanted to seek discomfort. I really want to step outside my comfort zone and do something that I've never done before, which is making a quilt. But I also wanted to connect with my roots. Ever since I was little, my mom has been quilting. You know, she's been quilting before I was born. So I really wanted to build our connection and connect on something that she was passionate about, and now that I am also passionate about, which is really cool. And then explore a different type of innovation. You know, quilting, you think of it, and it's a very old skill, but it's still relevant today because it's been able to evolve through the years. There's new techniques, new materials, new machines constantly coming out that are that keeps quilting very in the loop. And then for the future, going forward, reiterating, seeking discomfort. I think when you step outside of your comfort zone, that's when you get the most impactful growth. Like this whole year in the Explorers program, we constantly did stuff that none of us were comfortable with, and look at where we are now. It's just very self-explanatory. And then also a young mind has the power to change perspectives. Going into this, I was very naive, walking into my mom's sewing room like, hey, let's make a quilt. And you know, I learned so many different things, but through some of my mistakes and trial and errors, whether I was breaking her sewing machines or what, she had to learn new ways to either fix the machine or maybe she learned new ways to use her machine. So we both learned stuff from each other. And then a really big thing is I learned I have the creativity, confidence, and determination to do whatever I set my mind to. I've always struggled with self-confidence since I was little, so this just solidifies for me that really I can do anything I set my mind to, which I think is really cool. And then to end off, I have a quote from my mom when she says, even after quilting for almost 60 years, I continue to learn new things about it every day. Find something that endlessly expands your mind. Thank you. Need water.
Questions for Allison?
I want to see if this connects to the sort of the fashion industry, and you've got reused materials here. The fashion industry, as we all know, is one of the great offenders for sustainability on the planet, and needs to change dramatically. And I wonder if there's a way to use what you've done to make a statement about that.
Yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, fast fashion is terrible for the environment, and this could be a really good statement piece for that. You know, you can donate clothes, but sometimes your donated clothes don't really go anywhere. But, you know, my mom has kept these old jeans for years and these buttons for years, and she likes to keep little trinkets and whatever she can because she knows one day maybe it'll get reused again. And I finally got to, you know, craft something out of all the stuff that she's been collecting, which was really special. But I think it's a cool statement piece because it just shows that, you know, maybe one day your old jeans could be floating in the ocean. You know, you could get like really metaphorical with it. So yeah, I think that's a cool avenue to go down.
How did you do the tree? I can't tell from here. Are those glued on or are those actually sewn on?
So those are individually hand sewn on. Yeah, so you can move them a little bit. They might fall off, but yeah, these are each individually sewn on. You can see there's kind of some tree bark that was also sewn on, but yeah, no glue was involved in this process at all. It was all hand sewn or machine sewn.
I might also point out David's wave, which is given to us as an East Center gift. So tying in the theme. So
it's the wave of innovation.
Yeah, there we go.
What that is.
Snap.
Yeah.
Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there going to be online bidding for this or something else?
Yeah, I could set something up. Or maybe later at dinner. I don't know. We'll see.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daisy Burns, and my experiential learning project is around community development, and this is what I did for my Shaw Innovation End of the Year project. So kind of the goal around building an experiential learning community development project for me was that's my intended career path, but I don't really know that much about what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. And it's also a very broad field. Like if you tell someone I work in community development, what does that mean? What do you actually do? And those are all questions that I had. And so my goal was really to expand my education and get that hands-on learning in that field so that when I go into my career, I'm prepared and I also know what my specific interests are. So in order to get an experience like this, the first thing that I did was a bunch of networking, both on campus with the director of the Changemaker Collaborative, with Michael Swack, who runs the Community Development Master's Program at UNH, and then also individuals and organizations in the community development industry. So I gained a lot of perspective and information just from networking, but kind of the conclusion that I came to was there wasn't an experience on campus that matched what I was looking for. And I think this is where the Shaw Explorers program really came into play for me, because through the Shaw Innovation Explorers program, I have been tested to step outside of my comfort zone, to create new experiences, and really expand my network. And we've done that through South by Southwest, through improv, through music. And I think all of this innovation really made me step back and think, all right, there isn't something, on campus that really matches what I'm looking for. What can I do now? And through all of my learning in Shaw Explorers, I was like, all right, well, I can make something. And that is what I did. So the first thing was a bunch of brainstorming. What did I want this project to look like? Were other students interested? What would best meet their needs? And some of the ideas that I came up with were a BIP class, Business in Practice, where students are working with a nonprofit. I also was thinking about incorporating community development into an existing organization, and then also doing an independent study and numerous other things, but these are some of the core ideas that I had. And some of the challenges that I faced along the way were getting approval for a BIP class in time and coordinating that with the professor. Didn't pan out very smoothly. And then some of the learning opportunities were around student recruitment. This is a new thing that I hadn't worked on yet, and so very exciting, but also a new challenge. And then also finding the right project. With all those industry connections, I learned about all different kinds of community development and projects that we could tackle. So it was finding what was best for me and other students. And so with all of that research and development, I came out with 2 different projects that I'm working on. And the first one is with Net Impact, which is a student organization on campus, both at UNH and universities across the country, which is really cool. And what I like about this project in particular is that all of the current Net Impact members, except for one, are graduating this year. So the current member and I are taking on this club. So not only can we incorporate this community development, working with immigrants, finding housing, and building that community development aspect, we can also work to create this club sort of from the ground up and reimagine what it can be like. So I think that that's a new experience that I was also able to kind of tackle, and I'm very excited about that. And then the second community development project that I'm working on is an independent study capacity. And this includes using a resiliency assessment tool and conducting case studies on communities who have used this tool and researching the field of climate resilience. And this is very aligned with what I would like to do in a career. So coming across this project is extremely exciting for me and will give me the connections that I need, but also just the experience. And that ties into my expected outcomes. I think Overall, this has been a really exciting project for me to tackle, and just thinking about what that looks like in my career and gaining that hands-on experience now is exactly what I was looking for. And looking to the future of this, I think that it's really exciting, like I said, with Net Impact, to think about reimagining this club and building out that recruitment even beyond the project that we're doing. And then for independent studies, this has really opened my eyes to the potential for creating your own curriculum and opportunities throughout college. And it's also something that I'd like to encourage other students to do. If there's something you're interested in and you feel like there isn't a great opportunity, just make one. And that's something that I learned, but I'd also like other students to gain from this. And I just want to close out by thanking David and John Shaw, the E-Center, Ian Grant, everyone who made this possible, and all of my fellow Shaw Explorers for just making this an incredible sophomore year.
Thank you, Daisy. Any questions for Daisy?
Yes.
With the Net Impact organization, how do you plan on encouraging member retention?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think what's really exciting me about this is I know numerous students on campus who are passionate about sustainability and dedicated students. So the retention aspect really comes from students caring about the mission. So because we're starting over from scratch, we have the potential to get a group of students and say, we all have this same vision for the future and these sustainability goals. What do we want to do with this? And find something that we're all so passionate about that the retention kind of comes naturally. And I think that is what I like about this club so much, is there's flexibility in it so that we can, really find something that everyone is so passionate about that it's something they look forward to being a part of, that they encourage other students to join, and that they, really feel like they're creating a positive impact. And I think that's where that retention piece comes in.
Daisy, how does once you build the community, is there an intention to activate it for certain issues, and how does that happen?
Like the community within the club or the community development?
I guess the community within the club. Let's say the community wants to take on an issue. How does it get activated to make a difference in the world somehow?
Yeah, so one of the benefits of Net Impact is it is like a university-wide, nationwide program. So that gives us a lot of authority and also connections, and that establishment to say all right, we're Net Impact, there's some name recognition there, and to say, this is a project we want to take on. And then I think that what we found is other organizations know and they want to work with that, community of students within Net Impact. And so there are some benefits to having that be a more widely recognized student org and not unique to UNH. And through my experience, I've found numerous organizations who are excited to work with us. And if that's, kind of the community that you're getting at with your question. And then, that is different than community development on the other side of that, where there's the actual community that we're working with. But yeah, that's the Net Impact piece. Yeah.
So this isn't a question, it's really a compliment. So one of the criticisms sometimes of people who are starting out and people who are feeling entrepreneurial is that they feel the need to create something new, even when there's something already existing that's very similar to what they're trying to do. And you'll see this again, and really I'm speaking to all of you, the wisdom to say, gosh, there's this organization that's already there that's sort of simpatico with what I'm doing, and I can try and manage that in the direction that's helpful. It's a really sophisticated way to go, and I just wanted to compliment you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a benefit to me as well. It seems like there's already students who recognize the value of the program, and like I said, organizations that want to work with us. So I think it's mutually beneficial, but also, like we've heard from the current co-presidents, there aren't any other students picking up the club. So it's also a really exciting way for that club to grow and not, kind of fade away. So I'm excited about that.
And maybe just a personal comment, I came out of business schools and I was involved in Net Impact in 1997. So I think that's about how old it is. I think it was just starting back then. So it's really great to see it's still there, and you're going to make it better.
Yeah,
so well
thank you.
done.
I'm very excited.
Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Carly Dahlstrom. I am a business administration major and I'm also minoring in theater. So when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do for my project, I really wanted to take my love of the stage and the theater and apply some of the themes and lessons that I learned from Shaw Explorers to a play so that I can share it with a wider audience. So I wrote a one-act play which I titled Pursuing Perfection. So like I said, I really wanted to take what I learned from the Explorers and put it in a format in which I can share it to more people and reach a wider audience. So what did I learn? I really wanted to take this core idea of innovation, and from that I thought about what aspects I could bring into my play. So I really wanted to focus on creativity and that aspect of being able to create in this world, as well as exploration. A lot of creativity is trying new things and exploring, and thinking outside the box, really getting outside your comfort zone and trying new things that haven't been imagined. I also wanted to take this concept of fearlessly foolish or bravery, and because being innovative and reaching outside the box is brave, and I really want to bring that forth, as well as there is this inherent fear of failure when trying new things that I wanted to address, and that there are benefits from failing. So these are the themes in which I brought forward in the concept of society and the expectations of perfection. So this is essentially my mission statement that says that my goal for this play is to act as a social commentary on the societal expectations for people to be perfect. And when you are that version of perfect, there is no room for creativity, exploration, and innovation. It's really a toxic mindset to hold yourself to unrealistic standards. So, let's set the stage. I really wanted to work and place my play in this concept of utopia, or a place of ideal perfection. I thought this would be a great way to explore the different themes that I talked about earlier. One of the challenges I faced was writing characters. When you're writing, you have to make realistic dialogue between people that might have theoretically taken place. You have to make your characters seem real. So I really tapped into my theater knowledge in this aspect with the levels of motivation. Here I have a pyramid, which is what we talk through in the theater world, where you have your super objective, which is the character's purpose throughout the entirety of your play, all the way down to your tactics. That's the character's motivation in movement to movement. This comes really into play if you're doing any stage directions in your writing, because each stage direction has to have a purpose. Learning, I really learned how to fold in themes. It's really hard when you're writing to not just outright say what you want the audience to get, and you really have to work on deciding if you want to do this directly by telling them these messages, or indirectly in folding in these things, but also doing it in the concept of realistic dialogue and realistic situations, which is a challenge, but it's something that you work through. So what did we create? This is the plot. The world has changed. Society now values perfection above all else, and being average is no longer acceptable. Isabel is a high school student at risk of being sent to the average level and must attend remedial school if she has any hope to stay in the perfect society. Here she meets Dylan, a person who purposely rejects societal ideas, and Olivia, who tries her best to fit in. Will Isabel be able to meet society standards, or will she learn that imperfection is not as bad as it seems? The results, this is a 13-page play if you single-side it. If you were to perform it, I would estimate that it would take about 30 minutes to do the entirety of the play. And the breakdown is I broke it into 7 different themes, which each have their own message and purpose throughout the play. So, what is the Shaw Explorers impact? As I mentioned before, I really took the themes that I learned from this program and applied it to my play so that I could spread it to a wider audience. I plan to enter this play in the UPPWs, which is the Undergraduate Prize Play Workshops, where if it's chosen, it will be produced next year. But this is just the tip of the iceberg of what I learned in the Shaw Explorers program. Through Shaw Explorers, I have built a big connection and network of people. I am very introverted, and so sometimes I have trouble reaching out and talking with people. But especially within the Shaw Explorers themselves, I have made so many close friends that I now talk with and have fun with, which is really invaluable to me. But I've also built this professional network of people who are out there and willing and ready to support me. I have learned so much skills and knowledge. I've tried new things that I never would have had the opportunity to do otherwise, and really pushed myself to learn more and to explore more, and I had a lot of fun while doing it. And finally, capability and confidence. I learned that I am so much more capable than I have ever thought I was before. I have done so much that was outside the realm of possibility in my mind before. And I now feel confident going into the future that I am capable and I am a good explorer and an innovator, and I can go forward into the future to explore my passions and really do more work. So, thank you to the Shaw Explorers program, because this has truly been an amazing year, and I am so thankful for everything that I got to do.
Questions for the playwright?
Yes?
So you wrote the play to juxtapose imperfection and perfection. And like obviously going into it, you probably knew you were going to do that to help the viewer learn. But do you think you learned anything about imperfection and perfection yourself?
Most definitely. I tend to be a perfectionist, which honestly is a bit of a toxic mindset, because it's not about the end result, it's about the journey, which is something that I really had to learn. So when I was working on this play, I had to almost stop myself from keeping it in the workshop phase, and I had to really just trust in myself to send it out and know that, yeah, there's going to be some parts that I personally might not like, but some might connect with other people. And so that is just something that I personally had to work on when I was working on this. And something that I learned is that, like, it's okay to not be perfect. It's about reaching others. Yeah.
Can you give us like a super high overview of the plot? I'm just like curious.
Okay.
Is that?
So as I mentioned, we have Isabel, who's really the audience stand-in character. In the society, you have the above average, the average, and the below average school levels. So she is an above average student at risk of being sent down to the average school level. So she has to attend this remedial summer school. In this school, she meets Dylan, who is purposely failing everything. She wants to go down. She is distrustful of society and this metric and standard. And then we have Olivia, who is trying her best to fit into the standards and not quite making it. So I use a metaphor in my work of society. Each person has a subject they failed. Dylan's was art. And so I had them do a paint by numbers. And Dylan purposely paints outside of the numbers, but she creates this masterpiece. And that's really like the ending conflict between specifically the teacher characters is, does she deserve to pass for creating this beautiful artwork that goes against society standards? But also it's influencing Isabel is like what her ideal of perfection is and what her idea of society is throughout the play.
When are auditions?
So as I mentioned before, I'm entering it in the UPPWs. So if it gets chosen, it will be a 2-week workshop in December.
Have your agent call her. Yeah. Awesome job. Thanks, Riley.
Thank you.
Next to Caitlin.
So I chose not to do presentation, but more so something that kind of fit with the theme of my end project. Wait, am I good to start presenting? Or? Okay, sorry. So I'm going to actually read you an entry from my journal. So originally, my project was going to be this cool photography idea that captured people's different takes on an object, representing how everyone has a different angle and how powerful and important it is to have multiple minds brainstorming with you. However, a few events happened, and I later realized that in order to truly appreciate the appreciate the wonders of innovation, or innovation that comes from different brains, I first had to appreciate my own mind, along with the quirks that come with it. I have had many struggles through my childhood till now, many mental struggles that have up through my childhood until now, and I always questioned that something was wrong with me and that I wasn't normal, which led me to think that I was incompetent and that I wasn't worthy enough to follow where my dreams were leading me. So the goals of this project was to develop a way for me to delve into my traumatizing past, strugglesome present, and hopeful future, to create a therapeutic way for me to do something I enjoy and strive to embrace the darkness I both saw in myself and that I was in, working to make myself the light. So my inspiration from this project came from multiple things. First, it was a car ride. That was the type of car ride that you'd kind of want to block out the surroundings around you. So I turned on my music, and the song that played first was Silver Lining by Mountjoy. And at that moment, the music directed my emotions to an opportunity to see the world more beautifully. Then the other inspiration that came for this was actually, it was Shaw Explorers. So going into actually meeting Coco. So she was in the video before, but she really embraced the different minds and being different and kind of holding on to your own spunk. And kind of following that and holding on to that is kind of what encouraged me to pursue this perspective of my project. And the third was kind of the big fall that led me to fall due to all of my chaos. 4 of my family members have endured life-threatening diseases and different illnesses, and they relied on me very much so this semester. So that was very strugglesome and just made everything so much worse, my mental health and everything. So to get into what my project actually is about, or what it is, it's paintings that represent they're supposed to look like ripped paintings from a journal that kind of embrace the different struggles that I've endured and the journey that I went on to. So now I'd like to introduce you to Falling for Chaos. So, thank you. So basically, I just wanted to embrace that. What I learned this year was that having visual images and music to kind of make sure that you remember that those strugglesome events or feelings inside of you that are kind of contradicting are actually who you are and fighting who you are. Keeping that in your mind and just going back to, oh, the painting or the music, it just is kind of like a therapeutic way to remember that. Going forward with this, I basically like to use this as like a therapeutic tool for others that are struggling with the same thing of just not embracing your true chaotic self. And in the beginning, I fell to chaos because it was just so chaotic and hard to handle, but at the end, I kind of fell in love with the chaos. So that's the main idea of all of this. Go ahead.
You mentioned that music is therapeutic, and it definitely is. It evokes so many feelings and emotions, and I'm just wondering if you have a go-to song that's uplifting.
Uplifting? Oh gosh, so there's a lot of them. Actually, I find it's weird because it depends on my mood. I also definitely have ADHD, so I'm very sporadic. So it depends on the mood, it depends on the event. Sometimes listening to music that puts me more into that emotion helps me feel better because I'm just able to kind of clarify my thoughts, get it through and dealt with, and then move on. I really like the song Mr. Blue Skies. I don't know why, but it just gets me like in the jam and just jiggling around, so.
Can you sing it first?
No. It's such a good song though. Do you still have a question, Daisy?
Yeah, so I liked, like in the first part, how you kind of read your journal entry and then the pictures were like torn pages from your journal. And I think like for a lot of people, it's very therapeutic to kind of write out their stories and their trauma or like write to someone and, you know, maybe not give it to them. But I just really like this perspective of painting it instead. And I'm just curious, like, for you who did both the writing in your journal and also the painting, like what you felt like helped you more and like move past things and experience it, and like, I don't know, which you liked both or more, the combination, and kind of what you got off of those two different like ways to process something.
So honestly, journaling really lets me kind of think through everything, and it also kind of helps with perfectionism, as Carly was kind of going through a little bit too. Because when I'm writing, I force myself to just write it out. I don't try to think of, okay, I have to write this perfectly, because there are thoughts in my mind. So the journaling piece is really important, and then I take that and connect everything I just thought of into my paintings, and trying to find that music that maybe I reflect back to that memory where, oh, that's how I was feeling in that moment, so I put it with the picture, and it just helps me remember that more, a lot more. Something I actually also wanted to mention too was with this, kind of just holding on to the inspiration, because that your chaotic self is kind of where your inspiration comes from. So if you're constantly battling to try to change yourself and fix yourself or fix that chaoticness, it's kind of degrade your innovation over time. So this project was basically to embrace my chaotic self and stop trying to fix it. But yeah. Thank you.
All right. Caitlin, I just want to say I felt very close to what you were saying too with the traumatic, like with trauma and the emotion that you can get from music and art. It means a lot, and I think that was very inspiring. So this is my piece. I titled it Fluid Mechanics. So throughout, all of our lives, we've seen a lot of technological growth from, the way we get music, the way we communicate, so many different things. I think that the Shaw Innovation Explorers has showed me a lot to what we're going to see in the future too. So my project was, I extended my art portfolio from when I was in high school. And a lot of what my art portfolio was trying to combine technology and society and show the differences between them and how they connect. So this is one of my first pieces. It was a note to a father versus a text on a phone. And then the other piece was showing a jukebox and the way that we used to, socialize and listen to music together. And now you can get it all through your phone and just connect it to Bluetooth. So I've been working. I also had some other pieces. This one is a trestle. It's actually from my hometown. It shows, a place that you used to go across the train tracks to, ship stuff from place to place in the U.S. And now it's just used for fun in the summertime. Another piece, this one actually won an award, which was super cool. I didn't expect it to. It shows the new technology that we've been seeing today, like AirPods and stuff like that, versus old cameras and tape and floppy disks and stuff, and the match of chess that they play. Another couple pieces. This is like at lunchtime, showing. I mean, this has always been a thing, since the 80s maybe. But reusable water bottles versus plastic water bottles at lunchtime, and refilling your water bottle. And then this one is solar panels and in a house not connected to what are they called? Smokestacks. Thank you. So how is this piece connected to all that? Well, through the Shaw Explorers especially, I've been seeing so much when it comes to NFTs, Web3, the different developments in art that we've been seeing. Like a lot of us went to this thing called Hydrovox 3.0 in a church when we were downtown. And it was such a great experience combining music and art, which was great. So also painting for me has always been a getaway, and it's also helped me with combining. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It's from Leonardo da Vinci. And I think art is a good way to show that and combine different social and ideas and stuff. So this piece is really trying to show both the ripple in the water that technology has created through all the different innovations and how they can affect it. It also shows the economic bubble that some people might be seeing us in versus all the technology that we've been seeing. I think there's a lot more to it for me as well as extending my portfolio. This is the first piece I've ever done that was really abstract. A lot of my other pieces were pretty realistic, but I feel like this piece is much more abstract compared to those. So it was interesting going through that creative process. My mom told me she had a canvas, and I was like, I always have loved to paint, and I haven't done it in a long time, so I'll try it again. So a little bit more about the background. My mom was an art teacher for over 10 years. She still is today. She taught my class once as a substitute when I was in middle school, which was super impactful to me. I've always been close with my art teachers at my middle school, and I'm so glad that the Shaw program allowed me to continue my artistic, working on art. Because it's such a creative program, and I'm glad you guys all get to be a part of it. The other thing is the connections I've made with everybody. So I already talked about Hydrovox, but also doing all the networking and meeting all the collaborative people we have here and expressing our ideas and contributing to a team and also meeting big industry giants like this guy's name is William Hurley. He is a father of quantum computing, and he gave me a book called Quantum Computing for Babies after I asked him a cool question. So that was pretty awesome. And also this other piece, so I got Brian Skeery to sign my longboard when we had our National Geographic event. I did it afterward, and I get to ride this thing every day, and it's awesome. So, so overall, I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially the Shaw family. Any questions?
Not related to shoe golf.
Don't even talk about it. Cool.
Tim, was your portfolio, was that for AP Art?
Yep. I took AP Art. Instead of taking AP Calculus, I took AP Studio Art.
I did the exact same thing.
Awesome.
I have a question. What award that chess piece?
Yeah. So that was actually all made with pointillism. So it was all individual dots. That was probably the cool part about it. But I won a Silver Key Award for the state of New Hampshire. I got invited to I forget what school it was. But I think it was either Portsmouth or something like that. But they showcased all the pieces, and they had me go up on stage and get the award. So it was super cool. Thank you.
Right, we're waiting for Axel and Justin.
So obviously you guys know me. My name is Axel Guerrero, and this is a little project that I like to call Sustainability for Shaws. So the project overview, essentially, what is the project? I'll get to more that in a second. So we created, along with my brother, mainly me, a sustainability club at his high school, actually. So down in Exeter High School. And so where did my idea really come from? Well, obviously, I'm a sustainability minor. And so being a sustainability minor, grown to be passionate about, being eco-friendly, about living a more sustainable life, promoting better business, etc. That's why I'm pairing it along my business administration major. So I became really passionate about it, and ever since I started studying it, I explained it to my brother, the importance of it as well, and he's been passionate for it ever since, so it's really easy to get him on board for this project. And the inspiration just came from when we were fortunate enough to go as a group to have dinner at David's place. We were fortunate enough to get to see where he lives, a lot of the art pieces that he likes collecting, getting to know him and John more, and then through the food that we were able to make. But one piece that really stood out for me was the one that was hanging really from the ceiling when we first walked in. It was this really long art piece that David actually mentioned was made up entirely of recycled material, which I thought was super cool. I think that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in terms of art. I think that's been the most excited about art I think I've ever been. So my original idea for this project was to create the Shaw Explorers logo out of recycled material. But then I realized that I wanted to make more of an educational project. Sorry, my phone doesn't give me the notification of Ian saying that I was next, and I hadn't seen it, I'm sorry. But yeah, I just wanted to make this project a little bit more educational, so that's why I went down this path of creating this club at my brother's high school. So some steps along the way, obviously we got in contact with the principal at Exeter High School, and we tried setting up a meeting, in which we did. And so surprisingly, after we pitched the idea of creating this club at the high school, it was denied twice. Which I found really interesting. We were told that they didn't feel like it was necessary to have at the high school, that it wasn't a lot of, they didn't think a lot of people were going to participate, and they didn't really see much use for it. They said that if anything, it was just going to take up a lot more time for students. So we were denied twice. And so at the beginning, I started to feel like, this project wasn't really going to come along, and I was going to have to really refocus and do something completely different. But alongside my brother, obviously, because he worked with me, we created a presentation, like about a 10-minute presentation that we re-presented to the principal after begging to meet for a third time. And we just explained the importance of sustainability and practicing proper recycling practices, etc., in our generation, and why trying to teach the younger generations early on about the importance of it is so important, and how sustainability has grown within the last decade, but really within the last, recent years, it's been growing dramatically as well. So what did I really learn? So some challenges are going to come. the principal eventually agreed that yes, this project or that this club could go forward. And I'll get into that a little bit of that into the next couple of slides. But I learned that challenges are going to come. We got told no twice, which was really surprising. But really not giving up on our vision, giving up on our passion is one of the biggest things that I learned as well. You have visions, you have passions, you have things that you like doing. There's no one should stop you from pursuing those things or from stopping you from not wanting to do those things. And I learned that there's more ways we can be sustainable, but we can also make it fun. I've never seen an art piece like that at David's house before, and that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And so this whole club that Alan is going to be working on, which is here for Next Steps, Alan, alongside 3 other students, obviously along with some faculty members, are going to direct the club in the fall. And so I made this presentation a couple of days ago, but since then my brother has updated me. He says that the number's closer. I think he said 31 students have signed up to participate in the club in the fall, which is when it's completely opening, when it's completely starting. Which I think is really cool. And so this project not only strengthened my passion for sustainability, but it really motivated me to do more as well. So this sort of felt like a little bit of an entrepreneurship venture for me, just because I was able to see an idea, something that I was passionate about, sort of blossom and start to grow into something that's actually going to happen in the future. So it was really exciting to feel that way. And so it started rattling in my mind, and I've come up with potential future business ideas that I want to pursue. Obviously, one of those is called U-Recycle. I know maybe some of the Shock Sports might remember when we had our 3-day startup, this was the idea that we presented. I've been working on furthering this project or this business venture over the course of the semester, and hopefully I can start to do things over the summer as well. And then also just, for example, on my website, with art that can be created with recyclable material. I'm obviously not the most hands-on art and crafts person, but I do have a lot of friends that are. So sort of just creating art from recycled material, I think is something super cool, and I think a lot of people could potentially be excited about that. And so I wanted to just say a big thank you to everyone in the Strong Foundation Explorers. You guys have all been amazing friends and also provided amazing support at times that I really did need it. I've grown really close with a lot of you, and I wouldn't be in the position that I am without this program as well. I wanted to thank as well David and John for giving me this opportunity, Ian as well. I know that at times, I might not be the fastest responder in the world, but I do appreciate the patience with me as well and giving me guidance and giving me support when I needed it, as well as being flexible. So I want to leave off with a little project that I tried to create. I didn't want to give up the idea as a whole. So I tried my best of creating the Shaw's logo out of recycled material. The back, I tried making it stand up, but that didn't work. So just to grow the bottle of water, this is the recycled
Axel, just turn off your share. Turn off your shares. Your share screen, that way you can see the whole thing.
Don't share your screen. Stop sharing your screen.
Oh, right. I'm so sorry. Okay, hold on.
There we go.
Is that better? Is that a little bit better? Okay, listen, be patient. This was supposed to happen so that it could stand up, but that's just not gonna work. So ignore that, whatever. So use this as a plastic wrap from Market Basket. This is a D-Hop pizza box. Circle, just to have as the basis. And then obviously bottled water around the edges. Oh, that's another one. And then paper towel on the side to sort of create like the white area of the logo. And then this is just blue Sharpie that I colored in. But this was my little recreation of the logo. I kind of felt like just because I was so inspired by what I saw at David's house, I should sort of recreate my own. But I actually really like this, and I'm so happy about it that I'm going to hang this up in my room when I get back home after school ends. So at least I got this as well. So that's my part. Thank you.
Questions for Axel, the artist.
Beautiful art piece, Axel.
All right, so we have thank you, Axel. Appreciate the zoom in and the dedication and your humbleness and appreciation of your growth. So appreciate that.
No.
There we go.
How do I use this? All right, so for my presentation, I also just want to sort of note, I feel like art is an outlet for a lot of us that I've come to learn today. So this is going to really vibe with a lot of you. So I decided to make sensory art in the form of mandalas. So a little bit about what mandalas are, and these are just close-ups of what you see here. They are symbolic art that is commonly found in like Asian, Buddhist, and Hindu cultures, and they start from the center at a central point, and then they go outward with different designs and symmetry. They're commonly used for prayer, meditation, and other art therapy, but there's actually been new studies clinically that have proven that mandalas are able to relieve blood pressure, or lower stress, lower blood pressure, boost the immune system, and can help with mental health issues, including PTSD. So a little bit about what sensory art is. It's art that incorporates senses other than just vision, and they're catered to people who have sensory disorders like ADHD, autism, and even people who are blind. And sensory input is super important when it comes to art, at least for me. And I think not a lot of people realize that at all times your brain is processing stimulation that you're touching or seeing or smelling and trying to respond to that. For people with sensory disorders, it doesn't work that way, and functioning in their everyday life can be hard. Personally, I have a sensory processing disorder, so it's hyperactive. So basically, all of my senses are heightened, and my brain struggles to figure out how to take it all in and then respond to it. So my hopes with these is to help train a person's brain to better process outside stimuli with different textures and stimulation. So I wanted to combine the thought of the like meditative, tranquil part of mandalas, and then combine that with the sensory aspect to make it interactive and have different textures for the sensory input. I use different techniques and materials, and I pushed myself out of my comfort zone a lot to make some of these. I've never like sewn anything before, and that I stitched onto there. And then I was able to combine a lot of my passions, which is medicine. I'm currently pre-med and art and innovation. Art is one of my huge passions, and I've really struggled to keep up with it with the science career as well. And this has been a great way to put together both. So the products was 6 mandalas, as you can see here, and each represented something different. Built with a variety of different materials. One of them was flowers. This was a beach one I used with seashells that I found from my hometown because I'm from an island, so the beach is very calming for me. I made a metallic one, sort of a geometry one that's threaded, a traditional sort of mandala that's like the neon sort of flowery one in the middle, and then a beaded one, which you can see here. And then I incorporated many different stimuli that could be activated with the different textures. So the process of creating this was very hard. I had to plan and gather all the materials and then correlate them to the different mandalas that I was planning. I then had to sketch and measure out all the designs on the canvas for accurate symmetry, which took a very long time. And then I hand painted all of them and then attached the different textures or objects, whether that was stitching or using tweezers to like apply the little beads with glue. A lot of my inspiration for this project came from South by Southwest when I went to the talk about comics as medicine and how art and design can heal. I think that is so important these days, and just from hearing your guys' stories, I think art is so therapeutic, and now that there's clinical studies showing that it can legitimately help your physical health and your mental health, I think it's super important. The Shaw Explorers program has really helped me build on current knowledge that I've had and to just keep building your ideas even if you're not confident in them. I was inspired to work with new materials that I definitely was not comfortable with, and something I learned from 3DS here that I also never would have participated in had I not done the Shaw Explorers program was how to prototype and then customer discovery. I actually made little mandalas with different textures, and my brother has autism, so I had him test them out. And depending on if there wasn't enough stimulation for him or if there was too much or if something felt wrong, then I just wouldn't use it, and that's how I incorporated and chose what to include into the art. So then going forward, I'm going to continue using art as an outlet because I think that's very important, especially with the careers we've all chosen. They're very strenuous, and I want to really bridge the gap between my interests with medicine and art. I'm going to continue to think outside the box, always building on an idea, which is something that I feel like Ian and
John and David have really emphasized. And then I'm going to continue to be confident in my skills, which is something I definitely learned here. Thank you for an amazing year, guys.
Questions for Sydney?
Is it the creation of the mandalas and or the interaction of the mandalas that they have studies have shown that are helpful to mental health?
Yeah, so there's actually both. There's people who want to draw them. That has helped a lot of veterans and people who have traumatic histories dealing with stuff, but also the actual looking at them and feeling them. Like, these are all made to be touched. That's why they are textured in certain ways. That's the stimulation part of it. For me, it's really easy to focus when I can feel something that is, it wires my brain right. It's hard to explain, but it's teaching, that's fine. It's teaching my brain to understand things, and so it's both the physical aspect and also the visual aspect about it that helps people.
How do you keep perfect symmetry on all 4 quarters?
I have severe OCD. That is how. I just used a ruler. Yeah. And I think another huge thing, Carly was talking about perfection. I really struggled with that here. And I'm happy with the products, even though they're not 100% perfect.
What was the material, like what are the boards made out of? Are they all the same or are they different?
You mean the canvases? They're canvas. Okay. Yeah, they're like just regular canvas.
Have you made sand mandalas?
I have. I did one outside in high school, but it got, it was this huge one. It was probably as big as the space, and it was like the original authentic sort of mandalas that they do in those cultures. And we did it with someone who came who is like a professional artist doing that. So that was really cool, but it got blown away.
I think it's supposed to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that's part of the magic of mandalas?
And, yes, and the religious aspect, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. So, hello, I'm Kate Keefe, and this is my presentation for my year-end project, Chef Wildcat. I'm currently a sophomore computer science major, so of course I programmed something. So first off, what is a Discord bot? This is a bot account for the social communications platform and internet texting app called Discord. And these bots can be programmed to do a wide variety of things that users cannot really do. I know that there is a decent-sized like Discord community in UNH, even though not everyone uses Discord, but a lot of people do. All right, so who is Chef Wildcat? So Chef Wildcat is a bot that scrapes the UNH dining hall menus each day and can send the menus to subscribed server channels and users. Users can view menus by the dining hall or by mealtime. They can also favorite menu items to be highlighted in a direct message menu. Additionally, users as well as server channels can be subscribed to dining halls to get Chef Wildcat to send them daily menus. So I was going to do a live demo, but I don't want to mess with the projector, so we're going to skip that. But yeah, so
what can I do to help you with that?
I would have to use my laptop because I'm logged into Discord.
So you can just borrow the HDMI. It'll just mean that this part goes away, which should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, well, why don't you finish the PowerPoint and then do it after that.
All right, that works. Okay, so behind the scenes, I'm using a private GitHub repo for source control. I'm using Docker for containerizing my applications. I'm using Node.js for running them, and I'm using Postgres as my database. Additionally, I'm using a wide variety of Node.js packages listed there. And then I'm also made a bot stats page, which like I can check various stats that I'm keeping track of, as well as it also has a tool that I've called Sequelize Eyes, which this is a web page that uses the Node.js package called Sequelize, which I'm using as my object relational mapping, or ORM, and this is used to communicate between the JavaScript bot and my Postgres database. So with this tool, I can view my database tables really easily. So what inspired Chef Wildcat? This was actually inspired by another Discord bot called COVIDbot. This bot was made by another UNH student who has left UNH, so currently the bot is not running. But this bot would scrape the UNH COVID numbers page, just like this picture here, and then post the screenshot into a server channel that I was in. I also wanted to work on a programming project this semester because the only CS class that I'm taking is an ethics course, which doesn't require any coding, and I really wanted to work on a coding project. So I now know more about Node.js and Postgres overall. I'm more comfortable with Docker, and I'm more comfortable with creating an API from scratch. I also tried to design this project scalably so that it's easy to hypothetically add additional tables to the database or add individual commands to the bot. Most imports, if they don't have to be hard-coded, are done dynamically by basically reading whatever files are in a given folder. In the past, I never would have taken on a project like this. The Shaw Explorers program inspired me to do things that I wouldn't have tried on my own before. I felt inspired to work on something that I've had an idea to do for a while, but I didn't think that I could really make it work before, but I did. So for the future, I have my Sequelize tool that can help me with any future Node.js Sequelize database projects. I also want to look into some free platform as a service hosting that can support multiple Docker containers on one instance, since this bot is currently running off of my laptop, which isn't ideal because as soon as I close my laptop, the bot is offline. That's not really great for a production environment. This is also a containerized project, so it's easy to move to another platform if I find one that works eventually. But I would have to manually migrate my database if anyone other than me uses the bot, because I'm okay with wiping my database, but other users probably wouldn't be. I might also take over the COVIDbot that helped inspire Chef Wildcat, as the student who used to maintain it has left it open for any other UNH students to start working on and taking care of it. So thanks for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
Wow, a quick demo.
All right, yeah.
That's really cool.
Okay, so this is like Chef Wildcat in a direct message, because you can either have the bot on a server or you can just talk to it directly. So if I want to check Philly's menu, I just use /Philly and it fetches the menus. And then this is live, yes. If you want to compare it to your menu on your phone, you can. But yeah, there's the breakfast menu in one message, the lunch menu goes into another, and then the dinner menu is also here. But let's say if I'm just hungry for dinner, I want to know what's for dinner, but I don't know where to go. You can just look at only the dinner menus, and then it'll find all of the dinner menus with, it has the Philly dinner menu printed as well as the Hoko dinner menu. And then you can compare and decide where you want to go. You can also subscribe to channels. So my direct message is subscribe to Philly because I live close by to there. But if I wanted to go to my testing server, this channel in particular is just subscribe to Hoko, so I could test that. And Stillings is in here, but Stillings hasn't really had a lot of menus this semester. You can also favorite items and then as well. And favorites only show up here. So if I wanted in direct messages, because that's particular to a user. So if I wanted to favorite brown rice, which is in the menu above, it'll favorite it, and then if I do the dinner menu again, it'll now be marked with a little star up there because I favorited it. So I wanna see my favorited items. So yeah. But yeah.
Questions for Kate?
How do we get access to that COVID server?
To what?
Did you say that it was
the COVID bot?
Yeah, COVID bot.
This person sent me actually the GitHub repo if you want to actually use. That's I've taken a look at it and I might take it over. It's yeah.
Other questions?
In the back.
This is a totally different type of bot, but it's the only bot that I have any exposure to myself.
Mhm.
Have you ever thought of, or maybe even done, a investment bot?
I haven't, but that sounds cool.
Okay. Yeah. A fun rabbit hole to dive down in case you're ever bored and need a rabbit hole.
All right. Yeah.
So I have two questions for you.
All right.
My first question is, what are you using to actually scrape the data? Are you using what kind of library are you using to?
So I'm using a Node.js package called Axios, and this is used to directly just scrape the web page, but that's a lot of data to parse through. So I'm also using a different package called Cheerio, which can take all of the scraped data and just give me a certain div, or give me a certain list item, and then I can go through those items from the scraped data. I actually was using Puppeteer, and then Puppeteer, I had Puppeteer working in my code, and then it actually got an update, and then I had to get rid of Puppeteer because it broke my code. So yeah.
That's relatable. My second question is, how are you producing the output and the message? Is that some sort of templating language, or is that?
Yeah, there's so the Discord.js library, you can build up embed messages, which I think support up to 20 of these sub sections in one message, and then you can attach several embedded messages to one / command call.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wow. In all honesty, when you first outlined each of your independent projects, I had no idea what would transpose, and it so far exceeded expectations that I had. So, an amazing round of applause for all of you. So that wraps this portion of it. All I can say is next year, man, game on for you guys, because this was a pretty high bar. At least you have the summer to prepare. The good news is that part of this model is that this year's Explorers will continue on and be mentors. So they're going to be actively engaged, helping you in a variety of different ways, some of which we're actually going to finalize and talk about tonight later as a team. But you're going to have access, almost everyone, if whoever's on campus, to be able, maybe even if you're not on campus, to be able to help you. So that's the benefit of this. Again, we talk about a family, that's not just sort of a passing word. That's really the sentiment and the heart of what Explorers is. So this is for your family. You're going to be family, and it will continue to grow from there. So again, amazing shout out to David and John for having the vision and support of this, because literally none of this would happen without that and coming into next year. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Because sustainability is such an important focus for all of you. I was a speaker at EarthX down in Dallas recently, and I had to come up with the numbers about what is the investment world look like in sustainability. And I think it's important to notice this. It's been ESG, sustainability, responsible investing, whatever we call it, has been a small part of the total of investment assets under professional management. Some of you might be surprised now that it's reached about $17 trillion. So it's something like a third of investment assets in the United States now have some sort of responsible investment tag attached to them. And that's been driven by individuals and institutions wanting to do that and telling their professional managers, we want our funds invested that way. So I think it's a hopeful sign, and I just wanted to say that I guess the other side of that is often we think that it's up to government or nonprofits to do the sustainable work, to be the forces behind an important sea change in the world, like we're seeing now. But if just to put this in perspective, the spending, total government spending and nonprofit spending in the United States is under $5 trillion, and private investment assets are many times that. And so the point is, as you think about your future innovative careers in sustainability, there's no hope of achieving sustainability without the private sector being involved. And these numbers show that the private sector is becoming involved. $17 trillion is a pretty big number compared to, like I said, under 5. So be thinking of how business organizations can turn the tides here and make a big difference.
So John, I'm not sure if you're on, we can't see you because it's not plugged in, but if you have any comments before we break? Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. It speaks. All right, it's yours. Go ahead.
One, just what an incredible year it's been to work with all of you. Really how much I've learned from as much as you guys said you've learned from some of the programs, how much I've learned from all of you, and what an inspiration it's been to work with all of you, and how much you as individuals, how much you as a team, you really inspire me and give me great hope for all that can happen in the future with your capabilities. And then just, the messages you guys heard today, which was, we're all artists, we're all engineers, we're all individuals, we're all beautiful people that can find, if we pursue our passions and have the passion and the strength and the ability to address fears to do great things. And it's just been really inspirational to watch you guys over the last year, and a lot of fun for this inaugural year on it. So just thank you for all of your efforts and how much I've learned from all of you. It's really been fun.
All right, so for the guests, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Put your thinking caps on, get motivated. Maybe focus on your exams, get through the next couple weeks. But over the summer, start thinking about, that you're going to be here a year from now, and think about those opportunities. So appreciate you all being here. Explorers, we take a short break. Then we're going to have a little round table, and then dinner's getting catered in. So thank you very much.